Hi, I'm Vanessa Webster. Many of you know me, some of you don't. But I'm here to share a story. Some of you know my story, some of you don't. And the sole purpose of this video is to shed light on my story, my testimony. Um, the purpose of it is to shed light on some things that I've been through. Also to give a voice to some things that I've personally gone through, and to inform some people about things that are happening in the church that or that happened to me, that many people hear about but just don't know about. So that's the reason for this video. I want to be very transparent and open about what I've been through, and also to let the enemy know that he's not won, that I am victorious because of what I've been through. The Word of God says that we overcome by the word of our testimony. So I want to be an overcomer. I am an overcomer. So I'm sharing my story for that reason and that reason alone. So I'll start here. I have many titles. I have a title of a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a cousin, a friend, a mom, a teacher, a neighbor, but I also have the title of a survivor. I am a survivor of domestic violence. Even when I say it, it shakes me to my core. But it is a true fact, and I wanted to share my testimony of what God brought me through, because it's not very often that we hear the stories. We often hear of the stories when it's too late. We hear about the stories when it's blown up and there's nothing that can be done about it. But I wanted to share my story because God brought me through a very difficult time. So I'm sharing my story. It started back in, I got married in May in 1992. The wedding was unplanned. It was kind of thrown together. Many of you know I eloped, and that was kind of crazy as it is, or it started out kind of crazy. But I believe that I was making the right decision. Many of you also know that the man that I married was a pastor. So I think that's what makes this whole story kind of shocking because of who he was. So, yes, he was a pastor. We got married. We have our children. And let me pause and say that I have to say, of all the things that I did go through, I don't regret a lot of things. And the two things that I definitely do not regret are my two amazing children. Adam and Imani, I call them my heartbeat outside of my body. Those two children were worth it. They were worth it. So my children are my life. My children are my lifeline. They mean everything to me. So, like I said, this was something that I didn't see. In retrospect, looking back now, there were signs, there were red flags, there were things that I just didn't know was a flag, didn't know was something that was a warning sign. I just didn't see it. And I have to say, a lot of it was because I didn't know who I was. I really didn't know who I was. I didn't know. And I thought about this the other day. If I would have known that I would be her back then, I wouldn't have made the choices that I made. But I didn't know all of this was in her. I had no idea. So I didn't see the warning signs. I didn't see what was coming. The first time that he hurt me was over something that I had made for dinner, I think, or something like that. And he went to hit me, and I ducked, and he put a hole in the wall, but not a deep hole, but enough where there was damage to the wall, to the sheetrock cracked. I'm like, whoa, that would have been me if I wouldn't have moved out the way. And then, time passed, and that's the crazier part about this. Time was passing between incidences. So you're always thinking, well, it was a one-time occurrence. And I think a lot of women think that it was a one-time occurrence. It just happened once, and it'll never happen again. It was once, and that was done. So the first time, and then quite some time had passed. The children were growing up, but I did see things like I was doing so much of this by myself, with raising the kids, with running around with the kids, and not having family, not being around family. So a lot of it was just, I was doing so much by myself. So I was so focused on getting my kids raised, getting them back and forth to school, working a job, doing this and ripping and running and everything. So I never even stopped to take care of me. And that was another thing that really, really damaged the relationship, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was taking care of everybody else, taking care of the church, leading praise and worship, leading the choir, teaching Sunday school, teaching children's church, running Vacation Bible School, raising my kids, running back and forth to football and track and the library with my daughter. I was just taking care of everybody, and never taking care of me. So at time had gone on, we moved, and then it started up again. We had moved way out to Long Island, and I often call that part of Long Island, that's behind God's back, because we were way out there on exit 69 of the Long Island Expressway, out there in Ridge, where there's nothing but us, the trees, and the deer. So I was way out there, and I believe that's probably where the violence really started to increase, because I was separated from everybody that I knew, separated from people that knew me, that I could reach out to for help. And so that's when it started to increase. I remember we were talking in the bedroom about something, and I had said, maybe we should go to counseling. And the slap that I got, the back slap I got across my face, my whole face shook. I was like, I think we should go. That was my statement. I think we should go to counseling. And it was taken as such an insult that I would even mention that. And I remember, it was a Saturday night, and the next morning I get the conversation, maybe it's not a good idea for you to come to church, because it won't look good, because my face was swollen. I was like, wow. So this is more about what it's going to look like versus what you did. And I was, I remember, him pulling off, going to church, leaving me at home with ice on my face. And I'm like, this is such an oxymoron. This is weird. You're going to church to teach the word of God, and I'm at home with ice on my face? Like, that was so strange to me. Things were happening out there that just made me realize that I was not safe. I was not, protected at all. And I had to protect myself. I remember at some point, I don't remember the reason, but I was sleeping. I had to sleep on the floor in the living room. I was put out of the bedroom. I had to sleep on the floor for like 3 months. And I remember grabbing the quilt and the pillows and stuff before the kids would come downstairs for breakfast, so the kids didn't know that I was sleeping on the floor. I would hide the pillows and things in the guest room or something, so the kids didn't know that I was sleeping on the floor. Just weird things like that just didn't make sense. But back then, because we were so far away from everybody, because I was so isolated and I was just so focused on just taking care of everybody, I never stopped again to take care of myself. Um, there was another incident where, I got a busted lip. And once I remember my daughter called the police. I still have the police report. I look at it every once in a while to just remind me of how far God brought me. The police came and they were like, "Do you want to file a report?" And I didn't file an official report, but there is record of the police coming. That was so crazy. It was a Thanksgiving day. I don't want to get into the reason why, but the hitting started again, and I was like, this is going to continue. But how much of it can I take? I started thinking about ways to protect myself. I remember hiding something under the mattress, some kind of something, a stick or something. So if he were to ever hit me, I'd be able to reach under the mattress and, protect myself. I remember the days of just having to stand there and just being berated for about, 45 minutes, just talking down me, telling me that I was a mistake and, I could have done better. And I'm like, this can't be what marriage is supposed to look like. It shifted for me in my head because now, in addition to him being a pastor, he was a marriage and family therapist. He started his own practice. So now you're advising people on how to, repair their marriage, and you're coming home and doing the complete opposite. You're doing marriage and family seminars and conferences, and I'm there at the book table, or I'm there, helping out with you getting around, but I'm listening to you hold these seminars. And I'm like, that would work if we tried that, but no, it wasn't. None of it was brought home. And that just made me angry. I was angry at myself. And honestly, I was angry at God. I'm like, God, this makes no sense. Like, God, of all of the situations for me to find myself in, this one doesn't make sense. This man is a whole therapist, but yet he's doing these things to me. It made no sense. So just moving fast forward, we were out there on Long Island for about 15 years. The kids had grown up now. Imani was moving to college. She was going to Philadelphia. She was going to UPenn. And Adam had moved to California. So now we're, empty nesters. And we sold the house and moved back to Brooklyn. So now we're in Brooklyn, back in Brooklyn. I'm near people that know me now. And then not long after that, COVID hit. So now I'm in the house, just him and I, and it starts again. Prior to that, he had said to me, Vanessa, if I ever hit you again, I'll leave. I'll leave first before hitting you again. And no, if I ever hit you again, I'll leave. So I'm giving you my word. I'm like, okay. So now COVID hit. And one day I was in the kitchen just cooking, and I got this incredible headache. And I was like, what is this about? And I'm at that time, because no one knew what caused COVID. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I might have COVID. You're thinking, your mind is just, spiraling out of control. So I'm like, oh my God, what is this? So I go into the bedroom, I grab some aspirin, take the aspirin, turn the stove off, and I'm sitting down, I'm rubbing my temples. I'm like, oh my God, my head is pounding. He comes out of the bedroom. Why did you take the aspirin without asking my permission? I was like, what? Why did you take the aspirin without asking me first? And I'm rubbing my temples, like read the room, dude. My head is hurting. I'm sitting there with my head down, and then there's the punch. Why did you do that? Here's the other punch. I'm like, this is getting ready to start again. And now I'm thinking, this is COVID. I can't even go anywhere. this is going to happen, and who can I call? No one's leaving their houses. No one can come by. No one can do anything. I have to do something for me now. It's me versus him now. I so so now, why did you do it? Another punch. And why did you do it? And because I'm not giving him the answer that he's asking for, and the punches are getting harder and harder. And I ducked and I got up and I ran into the bedroom. I threw on some shoes, and then he's trying to, talk to me, and he's like, "You're not answering my question." I grab my jacket, grab my bag, and I jump in my car. I'm driving around. I'm like, okay, where can I go? I'm not going to the hospitals because they're probably full of COVID patients. And I remember, this is the height of COVID. No one really knew how it was contracted. So I'm like, that's not the place to go. So I drive to the nearest precinct. I'm sitting outside this precinct. And I'm like, okay, I can't go in there either. I don't know what's in there. I don't know what I'd face. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know anybody in there. I don't know if they'd believe me. I don't know anything. So I sat outside of that precinct for maybe like an hour. And I'm like, okay, let me just wait him out. By the time I get back home, he'll be asleep, and I'll just go back. So about 12:30, I'm getting texts. Vanessa, where are you? Come back. I go back home. He's asleep. So I go to sleep. I wake up the next day now, and I'm like, okay, this is something's got to give. So the next morning, as if nothing happened, just Vanessa, help me find my keys. I'm like, help me find your keys? Do you realize